Having missed out on places in the final, Bafana Bafana players and their opponents had a point to prove. And it was Bafana Bafana that launched the first attack of the match. Malawian defender Lawrence Shazia stopped Tsofatso Mabasa from having a clear shot at goal. The Flames had a chance to take the lead after they intercepted a pass by a South African player. However, they failed to find the back of the net. Keeper Baratin Muntali stopped Gatho Mohammed's dangerous header on this occasion. Muntali was having a good game, and he also denied Mabasa after the striker had received a good pass. Both teams were playing attacking football. Mzimela stopped Crispin Mapemba's dangerous ball on this occasion.
What a volley! Great positional play by Mzimela.
Muntali denied Genino Palace with the match still goalless at half-time. Bafana Bafana had another scoring opportunity early in the second half. Ikram Reynolds was denied by the goal post from a close range. Despite the goal-scoring opportunities, the match ended goalless and had to be decided by penalties. Yakama Mkumembe was denied by the goal post, with Rowan Human scoring Bafana's fifth penalty to seal victory.
For the whole South Africa.
Pesinkato, SABC News.
Welcome back. ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula says the governing party has achieved 70% of the 120 commitments it made to the people of South Africa in its 2019 national and provincial elections manifesto. He was briefing the media on the outcomes of the National Executive Committee meeting held last week. Mbalula further announced that the ANC would crisscross the country in mid-August to engage ordinary South Africans about the party's achievements and failures.
Although the country is facing some challenges, such as the ever-increasing cost of living and high unemployment rate, the ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula believes strides have been made in keeping most of the party's election promises.
120 commitments, we are at 70% of those commitments. Word for word, what we did. Yes, we do have challenges, major challenges. Achilles' heel is this load shedding. We are now being judged about load shedding.
He says next month they will visit all 54 ANC regions across the country to talk about the party's successes and failures. Mbalula says there's an attempt to paint the ANC as a party that has done nothing for South Africans.
Mid-August, we are going to Jabulani Amphitheatre. We will be all over the country to give a report back. And then we'll give you a report back on the manifesto, on the things we did. And then you will realize what this ANC did in this country to fight poverty. And to ensure that with all the difficulties we face in the economic front, we have never folded our arms. This 0.4% GDP growth is not happening on its own.
The ANC Secretary-General also weighed in on the Constitutional Court's findings last week. He argued that when compared to her predecessor, Advocate Thuli Madonsela, the suspended public protector Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane had failed in each and every bid to defend her cases. This comes after the Apex Court found that President Ramaphosa's decision to suspend her was rational.
Thuli Madonsela's decisions, as much as she was criticized, but she could stand her ground in terms of the law. Mkhwebane lost everything. Everything. I don't know how much he owes the state and the lawyers. The fact that she's still standing, she has just been proven beyond reasonable doubt as a delinquent of law.
On the ruling relating to former President Jacob Zuma, Mbalula said as much as they hate to see what Zuma is going through, they respect the decisions of the courts.
We respect the courts and their outcome. The moral perspective to it is that we empathize with President Zuma, and no one wants to see anyone at the age of 80 going to jail. But in this instance, the law is the law.
And another promise to South Africans.
With the evidence we have on work being done, we are confident that by end December 2023, South Africa has a greater chance of ending load shedding.
Meanwhile, the ANC says government should consider withdrawing from some international agreements that do not serve the country's national interest. Nhlanhla Khatlani, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Moving north of our border now, Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa has warned Western countries not to meddle in the upcoming elections in that country. Mnangagwa made the call on the same day he signed the controversial Patriotic Bill into law. The bill, which imposes stiff penalties on Zimbabweans found to have willfully harmed the sovereignty and national interests of the country, has been criticized widely. It imposes sentences ranging from fines to the death penalty.
This is the heavily contested elections post the Robert Mugabe era. The governing party ZANU-PF presidential candidate is under immense pressure. President Emmerson Mnangagwa has used his campaign trail to send a stern warning ahead of the elections.
We will not, as the people of Zimbabwe, we will not allow the Western countries to dictate to us. We don't dictate to them. This interference from outside is unacceptable. We as a sovereign state and a member of the United Nations, we have a sovereign right to run our elections uninterfered. Those countries who want to observe must restrict themselves to the role of observing our elections, not to interfere in that process. We will not accept it. After all, they have elections full of fault in their own places.
Many Zimbabweans have left the country due to economic and unpredictable political environment.
The earlier they remove these sanctions, the earlier they will be comfortable in their own consciences. Because against these sanctions, we continue to grow. Our economy for the past 3 years has been growing above 5%, and the leading growing economy in the region, in spite of nefarious sanctions imposed on our economy and our country.
All eyes will be on Zimbabwe next month as it decides on who will lead the country in the next 5 years. Kylie Kumalo, SABC News.
A game ranger and predator